What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode 7 of the LARNE project here in Football Manager 2019. Hopefully you guys are good. If you missed last episode, it was a cup final, a memorable occasion. Well, was it for the right or wrong reasons? If you haven't seen it, go check it out and find out. Today, we've got a kind of jam-packed episode, lots of little odds and ends, I guess, to talk about since you were last here. I think the first thing to talk about is just a few goings-on off the pitch. The first of these was that we asked for a new affiliate from the board. Yes, I went to them, I asked very nicely, could we have a new affiliate? They didn't find any that I liked, so we're going to stick with the 3 affiliates we've got, and I realised I've never really talked about them, so just to cover them in a little bit of detail, because it's always worth mentioning them, we have Port Stewart, who play in the division below us. We have a link up here where we can, I think, send players to loan on them, which is kind of useful, I guess. We also have Stranraer in the Scottish League One. You know, it's just a yearly friendly kind of deal. And we also have Wellington Rec, who, again, they're a team that we have some links with. As we go up a division, I'd quite like to get another affiliate, one who we can maybe send players to more regularly to hopefully aid their development. But at least for now, those are the ones that we have. Other goings on off the pitch, we have had a lot of players on international duty, and it has actually played a little bit of havoc with the team in general. Of course, last episode in the cup final, we were suffering a little bit, and well, it's kind of continued in a similar vein. But there is one player who is worth mentioning for some very important reasons, and it's Romario Vieira. And that's because he is now a fully fledged international for Guinea-Bissau, I want to say was the name of the country. I'm not actually sure. Is it Guinea-Bissau? It is. I thought for a second I'd made up a country. Why am I doubting myself? I mean, they've got Pele playing for them. I mean, that's got to be a good influence, hasn't it? But yes, good to see him get international caps. He's improved a lot this year. Hopefully he can continue to improve as well. A player who I think has a lot of potential longer term in the club's future. We have made one signing since you were last here, and it's this guy, Tommy O'Donnell. Now, today we are going to be taking on, I think it's Ballymena, in the semi-final of another cup competition. Unfortunately, Tommy here, unable to play because he's cup-tied, but we have signed him from Dungannon Swifts. He was on loan playing for Institute in the league above us. He's not the greatest year, but a exciting Northern Irish international at under 21 level, 17 years old. Sometimes people ask me about star ratings, and I always tell them star ratings are lies, and this is a great example of this, because Tommy is good. Don't get me wrong, but please don't let the 3.5 stars deceive you, because you can see here we have Danny Hill, who has the same star rating. If we just compare these two players, they're the same age. I mean, there is the difference between them, but they have the same star rating. In general, just star ratings, take them with a little bit of a grain of salt. Use your own analysis. I mean, you could look at this polygon and tell me which player is better, but well, you can see here, actually, he has 3-star current ability, whereas O'Donnell has 3.5 star. So there you go. That is why I don't pay attention to stars a lot of the time. But regardless, Tommy is an exciting player, obviously continuing to bolster our squad. We have got, you know, a big selection now of 17-year-olds that we've signed in the last couple of months, which is exciting. I will say now, I think I've signed as many as I'm going to sign. We now have an abundance of attacking midfielders, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but we do need to maybe slow it down just a little bit. You can see I have been looking at Northern Irish players under the age of 21. If we just look at players we've scouted in general, you can see a selection of some of the players we've been looking at. There's some pretty exciting players here. Of course, with our age restrictions, a lot of these players we actually can't sign. It's probably always worth, I guess, having the age at most 18 on, just for you guys to be able to have a look. But yeah, you can see here there are some players with some pretty exciting potential within Northern Ireland and further afield. So we'll keep an eye on these players, but I feel like the players that we've signed as of late, which of course you can watch last episode if you want to find out more about all of these players, I feel like these were the best that our scouts have found so far. In terms of, I guess, talking about our scouts and staff, we've actually had a few new additions to the staff screen. You can see now, looking at our recruitment team, our medical team, and our coaching team, we have by far and away the best setup in the entire league, which is fantastic. A few new additions to mention. I think the first one here is Van der Berg. He is a Belgian scout, 13 judging player ability, 13 judging player potential, a bit of knowledge further afield. He is currently now on an assignment. He's going to be looking for British players who are 18 or younger, who have potential to go far in the first team. Like the look of this guy quite a lot as a scout. And we've also made a really significant coaching addition, who I'm now trying to remember the name of to make sure I click on the right profile. It's this guy, Alex Gibson. I mean, look at him. Absolutely sensational as a coach. I feel like I often talk about the players we've brought in. I never really talk about the coaching team. But, you know, if you start with a good coaching team, you're going to get the most out of your players. And this guy, he signed a 4-year deal at the club with an additional 3 years after we get promoted, which hopefully we are going to do this year. And, well, you can see we've signed him from Llandudno. He was a coach in Wales. He actually was Manchester City, you can see, under-18s coach for 5 years. He was out the game for 7 years. And, well, we've snapped him up a year later. And I think for a coach who's on £550 a week, we've got a blooming good deal. I like the look of this guy a hell of a lot. Hopefully he is going to be able to help our coaching team going forward. Anyway, since you were last here, we've had a fair few games. And as I said, there's kind of been a lot of rotation going on, simply down to, well, the sheer quantity of international call-ups we've had, both at junior level and for the senior squad in the case of Romario Vieira. The first game we had was against Limavady. We won this game 2-0. Fuad Sul and Ben Tilney with the goals. A good little performance, this one. The squad was lacking a little bit in the way of fitness, which was somewhat of a concern, but ultimately a really good team performance was what was on offer, and despite lacking perhaps a little bit of sharpness going into this, with a pretty heavily rotated team in some areas, we came out on top, which was very, very good. You can see Ramsey Evans and, of course, Oysen, the players at the back. Not the conventional back three, you could certainly say. So for those guys to get a clean sheet was very, very pleasing indeed. The next game we had was against Portadown. We won this game 2-0 through, well, 2 set pieces. Thomas Stewart with a goal opening things up in the 5th minute. He, however, was a very, very naughty boy. A cynical tackle. In fact, it's not even cynical. I don't know, a violent tackle. Violent is the only word to describe this. Saw him get sent off. A straight red awarded to him in the 74th minute. Despite being a man down and, to be honest, being a little bit on the back foot for spells in this game, we did get another goal. It was one of the scrappiest goals you will see in Football Manager all day. It was accredited as an own goal. It was a bit of madness, really, at the end of the day, but 2-0 it finished. We'll take any result the way it comes, and, well, that was a good one. Anyway, in the Irish Intermediate Cup, we took on non-league opposition, I believe, in Ardstraw. Are you non-league? Yes, you are non-league. We beat them. It was a convincing performance, 4-0. I'm not even going to cover this. We whipped them, you know. We're coming up against non-league teams in the Cup. You guys don't need to know about that, really. Anyway, in our most recent 2 games, we've actually taken on the team in 3rd and the team in 2nd, and 2 very good performances. The first one was against the Police Service of Northern Ireland. Well, you can see here, McLeany, man of the match, got a goal to his name, as did Brandon Oddy. The 3 goals coming in the first half. Great to see Oddy getting on the score sheet. He was coming in. Of course, you can see, well, just looking at some of the players on display, we had to rotate the team a hell of a lot. We've been struggling with fitness, kind of juggling things around with lots of players being on international duty. These fixtures have been coming thick and fast as well. You can see, just back to back to back to back. It's been relentless. And, well, it continued when we took on Dergview. A 3-0 victory in this game as well. Carl Stewart opened up the goal scoring for us. David McDade with one just before half-time. And, well, Thomas Stewart getting a goal for his name in the 68th minute. A very, very good performance, this one. They had a lot of half chances but didn't take them. Of course, Dergview, a team who are vastly overperforming this year. We've actually snapped up, and I talked about it last episode, but we've snapped up 2 of their best youngsters who we've now loaned back to the club. But as part of that agreement, they can't play against us. So that kind of worked out in our favour. And, well, 3-0 is how it finished. I almost said 2-0. It was 3. It was a good result. And, well, if we just look at the Telegraph Championship, you can see the league table here. We are starting to run away with things, I think it's fair to say. We are top of the league. Dergview in 2nd still. Ballina Mallard United up in 3rd now. We are 12 points ahead of Dergview. Of course, the way that this league system works, everyone plays each other twice, and after 22 games, the league splits into a top half and a bottom half, and then the top half teams play against each other twice more, and the bottom half teams do the same. The way things are looking right now, with, well, we're beyond the halfway point, we look very good to win the league. So great to see. Hopefully we can keep it going. Anyway, we have had a fair share of injuries this recent kind of period of time. It's something that I've not really talked about because it's not been a massive concern for us. But you can see we have had injuries. And if we sort by dates, you can see really since mid-October, it's been coming thick and fast. You know, in the last month and a half, pretty much we've had over 16 injuries. I'm not going to count the exact amount, but a lot. And whilst a lot of these have been more minor injuries, you know, just a few days, Elliot Kebby has been out with pulled ankle ligaments. A bit of a shame for him, because he is a player who's very, very important to our game. Still recovering, so he's not been available for selection. That has created an opportunity for Chris Poole to make a bit of a name for himself To be honest, he's not been putting in the greatest of performances, but I'm hoping he is going to be able to step it up. He's only 21. He's a player who's pretty flexible. Obviously, he can play right wing back, which is where we need him to, but also a good option in the more defensive midfielder positions. The former QPR trainee, he's done okay. He's not been standout since he's come in, but he's done the job that we needed of him. Thomas Cosgrove has also been injured with a broken lower arm. That has kind of further compounded our misery because he's our second choice right back to Kebby. And also you can see how Oysen has been out with pulled knee ligaments for an extended period of time as well. So yeah, it's been a little bit tricky. I think this is really a sign of the times in terms of just how many matches we've been playing as of late. The games have been kind of coming relentlessly. You can see in November we've had 9 injuries. Of course, we are now in December. We've already had 1. And, well, you can kind of see here, we had a quiet October, but it's crept up a bit. I'm hoping that over the festive period, as fixtures should slow down a little after this month, we're going to be in a slightly better position. Definitely worth screaming and shouting, by the way, about the fact that we have now kept 5 clean sheets in a row in all competitions. Against Ballymena United in the semi-final of the League Cup, that's not going to be easy. I talked about it last episode, but worth mentioning, Dundela and Portadown, both championship sides in the other semi-final. So you'd have to say whoever wins out of ourselves and Ballymena United today is probably the favourites to win the final, regardless of who makes it through on the other side of things. But yes, all in all, things looking pretty solid here at the club. You know, lots going on, but it's kind of all clicking together, and it's a very, very good time to be here. In terms of the finances, just to mention it, you can see £4.6 million balance. Of course, we had a £1.5 million cash injection, which went into the transfer budget and the wage budget. I've used that, obviously, to bolster the scouting and coaching team, as you've seen. We still have money to spend, but, well, looking at our squad now, I'm pretty happy with it. As I said, I feel like we've signed a lot of youngsters who I was desperate to get hold of before bigger teams came in for them. And now that we've got those, you know, the likes of Danny Hill, O'Donnell, Mandanda, just to name a few, we can now kind of settle into our team and hopefully start getting some nice results. Worth just talking about our tactic a little bit. This is how we are going to line up today. A little bit of rotation required, although with this cup competition, I actually forgot, we can have a few more players on the bench. So that works out in our favour. We will add a few more players. I think we'll add Cadet and Blanchard. You can see, just looking at our team, with the injuries and a few players struggling for fitness, the team kind of picks itself in a lot of areas. In terms of the tactic, though, it hasn't changed since the start of the season. I was anticipating having to tweak it a lot more than I have, but to be honest, the way we've been performing, be it through just the quality of our players relative to those that we've come up against, or down to my own tactical mastery, I'd like to think it's a little bit of both, although I think the players really have been putting in a shift for us. The tactic really hasn't needed tweaking. Just so people might be wondering about stats and such, in terms of goal types, you can see play shots really the main thing, and the reason for that is where we are having our shots from. Our assists, we've got 15 goals from corners and 25 from crosses, but despite that, we've not scored that many headers, only 15. You know, a lot of it's been McLeany at the back post just nodding it down for our players in the box to, well, finish from corners. And, well, we have scored a few from free kicks as well. We've been pretty potent, I feel like, just in general as a team, no matter how we've done things. In terms of clear-cut chances created and converted, at 57, we have scored 43, so that's above about a 75% conversion ratio. Our formation, obviously, we've pretty much stuck with it. These other systems you see here are when we've had red cards and we've had to change the system. For some reason, Football Manager kind of decides to show them like this. Against higher rated teams, you can see clear-cut chances. We've created 17 and only had 11 against us. Against lower rated teams, some of them like to hit us on the counter, and actually they see some success with that. Whereas against similar rated teams, we really put a stranglehold on the match. And that does show when we play our style, of course. When we look at the league stats for the championship, for example, you can see against teams that are kind of similar matches to us, we've scored 50, we've only conceded 16, 7 clear-cut chances. 74% of our passes are completed, and we average 56% of possession, which is the best in the league by a significant margin. And yeah, just in general, we are a very potent team that seem to be, with our current system at least, dominating possession, dominating the play, and really making it show. And yeah, at least at the moment, there's no real reason to change things. Once we go up a division, once we start playing in Europe, then we might have to reassess how we approach games, because we're not going to be able to play attacking and possession-orientated football all the time. But right now, that is not something that I need to concern myself with too much. Anyway, in terms of our team for today's game, we're going to go with Devlin in goal. The back three, we're going to go with, of course, Graham Kelly at left centre-back. Alex Evans is going to play the centre-back on cover. Mick Laney is going to play the right centre-back role. At wing-backs, we go with Chris Paul, who we've already talked about, and of course, Benny Tilney, who has been just top-notch for us, in all honesty. And in the centre of midfield, a new partnership, I think, for live commentaries. We're going to go with Romario Vieira, and alongside him, it's going to be a live-com debut for McGrath, a player we signed not that long ago, really. A player who I'm currently training to play centre-back, but at least for now he offers us a pretty good option as a ball-winning midfielder on support. With Fuad Saul's loan coming to an end next month, I'm kind of preparing for life without him, and I feel like Kevin McGrath here is probably the natural fit to come in and fill that ball-winning midfielder void that is going to be left in our team. In the final third, not too unusual a strike force. We're going to go with Chris Eagles at advanced playmaker, McDade at poacher, Oddie, of course, playing that pressing forward role, and the reason for that mostly is that Thomas Stewart is suspended after that red card that he saw. Elsewhere on the team, you can see on the bench, we've got players like Severo, we've got Danny Hill, who I'm desperate to see play a little bit more. He's had a few struggles with injuries since he's joined the club, a few minor injuries here and there that have kind of prevented him really running in the team because he's kind of either been injured or on international duty. He is on the bench for today's game. He may well come on, and he's a pretty lethal athletic centre mid, which I think makes him quite a dreamy sub to have. The kind of player who, with opposition legs tiring, you can bring on to really, tire them out even more and really abuse that lack of pace that they might have. Elsewhere, we've also got Jeff Hughes on the bench for today's game. He's struggling a little bit with fitness, so as a result of that, I don't really want to risk him. Romario Vieira and McGrath are two players I trust to put in a performance today, and I think they're capable of doing it here against Ballymena. So anyway, let's see how we get on. We did, of course, meet them previously in the Shield competition that we were in, the County Antrim Shield, and we beat them 2-1 on that occasion. It's not going to be easy, though, here. We're away from home against them, and it is at their stadium. You can see 2,700 tickets sold, a very, very good turnout by both teams here. Let's see how we get on. Off the back of a lot of games in a row, condition could be a little bit better going into this match, but we'll just try and make do with what we can. In terms of their team, you can see they've got a few decent little centre mid options who are regens. I always like to keep an eye out on those. In terms of their captain, it's going to be this guy, Jude Winchester, who he looks solid from what we can see. Of course, we are playing with attribute masking on, which I like in some regards, because I know when you're playing FM, it can sometimes be fun to have that challenge of not knowing exactly how good a player is. I do feel like sometimes for videos like this, it's almost a bit of a shame that I can't show you exactly how good players are, particularly as you get into the future and you stop kind of recognising the real players and how good they'd be in your own save games. I would be curious, just for future series reference, how do you guys feel about having the attribute masking on? Do you feel like, from a viewer perspective, it kind of takes something away, the fact you can't see exactly how good the players are that we're coming up against? Oddie, please score immediately. Probably should have scored immediately. We were clean through on goal after 20 seconds. I mean, we'll take it. And after 40 seconds, we're going to have a highlight here. I mean, Oddie, the number 9 for us, he's looking pretty good. Chrissy Paul, need to see him perform huge for us. Romario Vieira can hit them. What a stop that is. Can Oddie keep it alive? Can he keep it? No, he can't. He can't deliver the ball of quality we need, and, well, they get rid of it. Recycled, though. Could we do something here? Tilney on the overlap on this left-hand side. Dinks it in. McDade on the volley. What a lovely goal that is. After just a minute and 10 seconds, we find the back of the net. It's David McDade's 16th goal of the season. I mean, Ben Tilney, lovely assist for him as well. Really nice build-up play. Romario Vieira with that bit of vision to see the run out wide. McDade on the volley, tucks it in at that near post. 1-0 here against Ballymena. The perfect start to this game as far as we are concerned. And, well, hopefully we can keep it going. For some reason in FM this year, these panels always reset in size. So every episode I have to try and remember to drag it up. One day I'll find a fix for it. Until that day, I will have to click and drag them up every time. Oh my gosh, we've been given the ball here. Chris Paul to Chris Eagles. He can hit them. Goes to McGrath to Tilney again. Lovely build-up play. Oddie's there. Sexy, scintillating football. Feels like we play our best football against a better opposition. We seem to just knock the ball around effortlessly. There's another assist from that left-back area. You saw the amount of goals and assists that were coming from crosses. We get a good overload going in the middle. kind of create space out wide for our fullbacks to push into as we play so narrowly in the earlier phases of play. And as a result of them all clumping up, it creates this space out wide, and while Tilney utilises it, lays it to Oddie, who tucks it away, and well, he can wheel away in jubilation. We are 2-0 up here, looking very, very solid against Ballymena United. Long may this continue. Of course, because of the tribute masking and because of my lack of knowledge of Northern Irish football, I have no idea if this is their best 11. A good chance there for Mick Murray hitting the side netting. Probably should have hit the target though from there, really. McGrath on a booking. Got to be a little bit careful of that because he is our ball-winning midfielder. We could theoretically swap him with Romario Vieira. We might well do that because I feel like Vieira can play the role equally as good. Perhaps McGrath isn't quite as good at the box-to-box midfielder role, but he's going to be less likely to have to make a crunching tackle in that area of the pitch. You can actually see Vieira on a 6.4. Not the best first half for him thus far. Doesn't really matter though, does it? 2-0 up. Those 2 early goals have been enough for us. Brandon Oddie, I feel like he's a bit of an unsung hero. He gets a lot of goals for us. It's just been a shame that with international duty and a few injuries here and there, he's not played in as many live games as I'd like. He has kind of been a bit of an unsung hero. If we just look at him, just because why not? He's got 5 goals and in the league in 9 appearances, and 6 of those have been on off the bench as well. And in the County Antrim Shield, he got 3 goals. So he has been very, very solid, and it's great to see him obviously playing regularly for Wales' under-19s. I don't know if we get promoted to the Premiership next year, if the international duty will become less of a problem. It has been a little bit annoying to deal with. As we have a chance here. Oh, I thought for a second McLeany was going to get to it. Unfortunately, it was denied. Maybe another set piece can see something happen. Eagles to the back post again. To Romario Vieira. Have a go, my son. He's wide. Don't have a go from there. In the end, he gives away the ball disappointingly. And, well, Ballymena are holding into this game at the moment. You can see teams equal in terms of clear-cut chances. They've had 3 half chances, yet to take one of the ones that's come their way, though. They've been a little underwhelming, I think it would be fair to describe Ballymena as. Chris Paul is looking exhausted. I could bring in Kebby. He's coming back from his injury still. I don't really want to risk him, but I don't have a right wing-back option. So my only option, really, is to bring in Martin Donnelly and play him in a position he's not that familiar with out on the right-hand side. It's a bit of a risk, but I feel like we have to do it. Elsewhere in the game, McGrath's not had the best game just yet. Neither has Romario Vieira, really, but I'm going to bring in Danny Hill, the young Welshman at box-to-box midfielder. As I said, I really like this guy because of the pace he brings. We actually, as a team, shine really well, and in our team report, it's kind of funny because the big weakness, if you can call it that, or certainly the thing that we don't excel in, is pace. We don't have a lot of that. We like to knock the ball around nicely. We're not a team who spring counter-attacks that often and try and break away with pace. Instead, we look to build the play. And, well, Hill just offers us something that we don't really have in any other player in terms of that athleticism. Hopefully, you know, in the remaining 8 minutes, he can do a job for us there. It's not been a classic second half, really. The 2 early goals made you think maybe it was going to be one of those routes that we've seen so often this year, but it hasn't really worked out. You can see they've used all their subs, and have they had an injury as well? Have they used all their subs and had to take off a player? They might well have done. In fact, they have. So Ballymena down a man. It's not going to matter, though. Just, well, matters of seconds left. And, well, the referee doesn't even let the goal kick get taken. We win this game 2-0. Another cup final we're going to. Apparently, we would have liked to have won by a bigger margin like was being predicted. Maybe we would have been. I mean, you can see here looking at the stats, it was a very even game, but we were clinical with the early opportunities, and that really set the tone for the match as a whole. And ultimately, a 2-0 win is definitely something worth being happy about. In the other game, Portadown winning after extra time sets us up a tasty tie against them. That should be a good little classic affair. 2 teams who, at the start of the year, you would have predicted to be battling it out for the title in the Championship. That isn't really the way the season has worked out. Portadown have been very, very disappointing. You can see they are still predicted to be second in the season preview, but they are down in 9th right now. They do have a few games in hand, so maybe they could mount a late recovery. But, well, they are significantly off the place of Dergview and Ballina Mallard for that 2nd and 3rd place spots that would see them have a chance at promotion through the playoffs. Anyway, good little results for us there. In terms of when we'll be back, the final is... When is the final? It's not till Feb, so it's a little way away. We've got a few games coming up here. You can see the fixtures really do slow down. Of course, we are going to have the league split happening in early January. In terms of when we'll be back, I think we'll play it by ear. Of course, we're on a fantastic winning run right now that I'd like to keep going, and indeed, a run of games without conceding that it'd be nice to keep going, but it's going to come to an end eventually. The Irish Cup, we're in the 4th round. We're going to be taking on Windmill Stars. They are another kind of non-league Irish team. So I'm hoping that we can win that and keep going in the Irish Cup. Of course, that competition is the one that the winner gets to go into the Europa League. So I've got my eye on that as very much the thing to maybe have focus on, as we are now starting to pull away in the league just a little. In terms of when we'll be back, I think we'll see what happens. Obviously, that final is a little way away, over 2 months away, in fact. So that probably won't be next episode. But as I said, the league's going to split. The Irish Cup might throw up an interesting tie depending on when the 4th, or rather the 5th round is, assuming that we win, of course, against Windmill Stars. So I think we'll do that. Anyway, guys, I do hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Let me know what you think of the mic quality. Obviously, I'm now using a Rode microphone. It's a bit of an upgrade from my Blue Snowball. It's going to take a little while, I think, for you guys to get used to. It's taken me a little while to get used to as well, but I'm sure it'll be worth it in the long haul. And well, hopefully, I will see you in the long haul for tomorrow's episode. If you have enjoyed today's video, please do leave a like on it. Massive thank you to all my supporters over on Patreon. Of course, if you want to find out more about that, there is a link down in the description. I don't nearly say thank you enough to you guys who do support me that extra mile, of course. In doing what you do over on Patreon, you allow me to upgrade my setup with stuff like a new microphone to really elevate the content to the next level. But anyway, that is going to be all from me today, guys. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow. And then it is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.